Hello, it is Tuesday, October 13th. Hope you had a nice 3-day weekend. Today we're talking about figurative language. Figurative language is how authors can say something without saying the exact words. They're very implicit. You have to kind of infer. This is where we get idioms from, similes, metaphors. It makes language really beautiful and really cool to use words, use play on words. And so we're going to talk about that today. So all you're doing is listening to the lesson, thinking about the different literary devices that we're going to discuss. And we like to use a mnemonic device. It's called Smaphoria. 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 Okay. And you might have heard of this before when you were in elementary, but these are literary devices that authors use to convey meaning without saying explicitly or directly what it is. And they use different types of words than what we'd expect. So the first one, the S in Smaphoria, is simile. Okay. A simile is a comparison between two unlike things using the words like or as. Here's an example. Bob swam like a fish. Okay. So you're comparing Bob to a fish.
Good morning, Middle School North. Just
Hold on, here's
for
an
those of
announcement.
you who are not already down in the cafeteria, the food is here and we're getting ready to serve lunch. So please make your way to the cafeteria. We will have a blessing. Thank you.
Sorry, that's today is our staff development day while you're off, so I'm recording this video today. A metaphor. A metaphor is the M in Smaphoria. A metaphor is comparing two unlike things without the use of like or as. Joe is a nut. Okay. So instead of saying Joe is like a nut, you're just calling Joe what it is. That's a metaphor. You could say Bob is a fish. That's calling him like it is. That's a metaphor. You're comparing Bob and a fish still, but you're not using like or as, and you didn't even use the verb in that sentence. The A in Smaphoria is alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of the initial, which initial means first, consonant sounds in two or more neighboring words or syllables. Down in the dumps. See the D, the duh, that's repeated at the beginning, initial part of the word. Sweet smell of success. That's alliteration because the S takes place at the beginning of the word, and that's the sound that you hear repeatedly. Okay. The P in Smaphoria is personification. Okay, look at that root word, person. Keep that in mind because personification is when an author gives an idea, object, or animal traits of a person. So you're making things human-like. When you say a dog talks, a dog really doesn't talk. A dog is getting personification, okay? So here's an example. The trees dance in the wind. All right. Can trees really dance? No, they're swaying with the wind, okay? The sun kissed my cheeks. Can the sun literally kiss your cheeks? No, you're getting a nice little tan, but it's not literally kissing your cheeks. The H in Smaphoria is hyperbole. Okay. Whenever I see the word hyper, I think about something's really kind of crazy, and so that's kind of what this is in a literary device. Hyperbole is a figure of speech in which exaggeration is used for emphasis or effect. Example, the backpack weighed a ton. Well, a ton is 2,000 pounds. Can a backpack actually weigh 2,000 pounds? No. Okay, so you're exaggerating. You're making it sound heavier than it is because you're trying to make a point. You're trying to give effect. You're being dramatic. And that's why I think about the word hyper. It's like, everywhere. Exaggeration is, oh man, and the next example is I nearly died laughing. You're not going to die from laughing, but you're laughing so hard that, you just couldn't catch your breath, okay? The next one starts with an O, onomatopoeia. That's the O in Smaphoria. Onomatopoeia is the imitation of natural sounds in word form. Okay, so literally when you say buzz, that's a sound word. Okay, hiss, that's a sound word. That's onomatopoeia. Roar, that's a sound word. Woof, bang, pop, sizzle, those are sound words. That's onomatopoeia. Those are pretty easy to pick out because they make a sound when you're reading them or when you're writing them in your own writing. The R stands for repetition. Repetition is when one or more words are repeated to show urgency or importance. Okay, so if something's repeated, it's said over and over again. Obviously, it's important. Just like when your parent tells you to clean your room and they say it 50 times, they probably want you to clean your room, right? Okay. Here's an example. Stay calm. I repeat, stay calm. Stay calm. Stay calm. Obviously, someone wants you to really listen and stay calm. An idiom. This is the I in Smophoria. A group of words whose figurative meaning is different than its literal meaning. Figurative means like it's something that you think, it's not really in front of you. It's a part of speech that conveys meaning without actually saying the exact literal thing. For example, there's always a saying that says, "Don't let the cat out of the bag." That means don't tell the secret. Well, letting the cat out of the bag means the secret would come out. Instead of just saying literally, "Don't tell the secret," someone plays on words and uses figurative language with saying, "Don't let the cat out of the bag." Also, it's raining cats and dogs. That means that it's raining really heavily. Instead of someone literally saying it's raining really heavily, they're going to use different words to try to convey that meaning. It's raining cats and dogs. It's raining really hard. It's raining a lot. That's how hard it's raining. That's figurative. It's not really doing that. The literal meaning is it's raining really hard. The next example, you're driving me up a wall. That means you're driving me crazy. Like I'm literally going crazy that I'm about to climb this wall. That's figurative. Literal is you're driving me crazy. Okay? You're annoying me. That's literal. So instead of someone saying that, it's kind of a funnier play on words, meaning you're driving me up a wall. Lastly, the A in Smophoria, the second A is allusion. Allusion is when an author directly or indirectly refers to something outside his or her text. So here's an example. She was a slave in her own home. She reminded me of Cinderella. Well, Cinderella was a slave in her castle with her stepmother. So comparing someone to Cinderella, Cinderella is another story that we all kind of know about. That's alluding to something. You're alluding that this person is like a slave like Cinderella. Just like around Christmas, people will say, "Don't be Scrooge." Well, Scrooge is a story that we've read about, and they're saying, "Don't be, grouchy during Christmas." Those are allusions. You're alluding to something. Okay, so that's the basics of Smophoria, and we'll practice this some more. But this is the overview lesson. You see how each letter, SMA, is the letters that go into Smophoria. Okay, and these are literary devices that authors use to be more vivid, to show, to have better visualization for the reader. You can see it, you can feel it. And you've probably heard a lot of sayings that your parents have said or that you've used. You just didn't realize that they were parts of speech or they were figurative language or literary devices. So we'll be looking at these closer. You really use Smophoria when you're reading poetry a lot because you kind of have to figure out the meaning. But some of our fiction stories, you'll look carefully and you'll hear some of these literary devices used. And we found some in Jack and the Beanstalk, or there are some in Jack and the Beanstalk. So be thinking about these. I'm going to share this document with you as well on today's Google Classroom so you can kind of look at it. And maybe you have some examples that have been set around your house or set around you that you could also think about. or ask your family about. Okay? So that's it for today. There's nothing to turn in. Just make sure you're thinking about Smophoria and figurative language. Talk to you later.